I was in high school. I was doing at that grade 10 at that time, and because the Australian government was trying to get skilled manpower into the universities quickly so they could be able to replace the expatriates as they're leaving, I finished Form 4, which is equivalent to grade 10 in 1974, and that was because it's like winning a scholarship. They call it national scholarship at that time. It's controlled by the colonial administration. So I won a scholarship and I went straight to university instead of doing Form 5, 6 and 7. So they picked if you're a top student, you score at least some A's and some B's, then you're able to go to university straight. So I was one of the students that was picked and went through a lot of failures because we didn't know what was going on because we were too young, and we're sitting in the classroom with lecturers and we didn't know how to take notes and things like that. But they're rushing you through the whole period, so they call it preliminary year at the university, where you learn how to write academic writing, grammar, composition. They test you for the whole year. They test you how to write assignments, do research, how to quote, what to say, what not to say. The English language that we used to speak was a mix of Pidgin and English. You have to, try to be more grammatically correct, and those type of things they rush you through. And then after that, you go to lectures and actually practice taking notes. It was terrible because we didn't know what was going on. We would never tested note taking in high school. Never did. It was a high school subject. You just go to class and they tell you what to do, and after that you just study what you're gonna sit for exams. That's it. Lecture notes and things were not really important. So we were really rushed through that program. Some made it, some didn't make it. Who cares? Some of us remain. So by 1975, I did my first year. After the primary year primary year was 1975, and that time independence came. So 16th of September 1975, independence came. But we were working towards it during the self-governing period from 1960s upward. People were preparing. But Australians were good in a way. They prepared the local people to be able to get the organization. They put new philosophies into people's minds that you have to be self-reliant. You must grow your own food, be subsistence, be able to grow your own food and export it. That type of idea about development, that's crap that's brought in for local people to consume and be able to deliver. Unfortunately, that didn't happen after the independence. Now people are importing more food and clothing instead of manufacturing their own, and they're more dependent on the global economy rather than growing and being sustainable in their own local domestic production and all that. So they haven't really done any good after that. So now they're dependent, and now they're having financial crisis. That's what I know. Took a lot of changes because in that period there was a lot of expatriates that were teaching us. We didn't have any local people that were teaching us, all expatriates from America, from Australia, New Zealand. And when that independence came, people will have to leave because they were not too sure whether PNG will turn nasty like the Africans or the Caribbean states where they have violence and all that things. So people were unstable. People don't know what will happen. The independence movement was really strong. People like Sir Michael Sumare, Sir Mauri Kiki, they're forming the independence bully beef club, and Pango Party was formed, and they want to kick the white people out. And so we don't know whether that will turn into violence or. But people took it easy. I was young at the time, so when I look at it, it's like one of the festive season anyway. We were excited about it, but in our mind, in our young mind, we think we'll be like Australians because we were really spoiled. Australians were feeding us, they're giving us apples and things in the university. They give us good food. We have cereal, we got milk. We eat like any universities in Australia. So we were really happy that we're going to gain independence and we're going to have the same type of food and the type of dressing. At that time we were wearing flares and we were growing our hair. We got afro hairs and all that. We're looking cool and all that. We thought we were going to be really cool like that, like the Americans. And unfortunately, after 10 years, we realized something is not right. Yeah, we are struggling to get to where we wanted to get to. And so some of us went for elections. So I actually took part in the general elections in 1991 because I wasn't satisfied. I thought this is not very good. I think we should change the country around and find out why we're having this problem. Because suddenly everybody was coming down to the cities and all that, and they're cramping around the cities. And they had all these, migrants that have no education. They came to find work. And before that, they used to put big markers on the road. No car walk means there's no work. So any natives that walk by, they put a big sign. When independence came, they said, take all the signs off because it's a colonial, suppression of local people's expression of, working environment and all that. They want to be in there to make some money. So they took those, but there was no job. So everybody came to look for work. And they suddenly, like before they didn't record the population properly, but I think there were more people. But people were so isolated in the bush, so people didn't recognize how many people are actually there. So they did some sampling tests and all that with the statistics sampling and all that. So they thought maybe we got only 3,500 people on the roll. After independence, everybody's free to move. During the colonial period, you're not allowed to move. You stay in your village. The council is keeping records and all that, so they stayed inside. But after independence, everybody just came to town. They want to look forward because they said, now we are free. We can move around. But with them, no education, and no survey. They just came and just muck around and they start stealing and doing all sorts of crime and all that thing. And people say, oh, what's happening? When they count the population again, they found that there are actually 8 million people, not 3,500 they thought. So, the administration was not, post-administration wasn't prepared for this massive growth of people. And the birth rate was about 3%, so you're out of control. And there's not enough production to keep them going. So that's why squatter settlements are building. But with it comes, social problems, crimes, and all this, and alcoholism, white basing, and all sorts of things. And some of those areas were still under traditional land owner, so government had to try and be able to accommodate their people. And they're still struggling. I think they're having a lot of problems with the squatters now. There's no good water supply. So our dreams of becoming like Australians and Americans just fell flat. Now we have to go back to the drawing board to find out how to, accommodate those population boom. It's too much. 3.5 million is what they said. Because, PNG is so rugged. And some of the places that I went to in the highlands when I was going to school there, you can walk for miles and so many people there, but they're isolated. You just walk through tracks and people stay in the bush. There's no way you're going to count these people, because you don't know how many people are actually there. So I was asking, how do we get statistics? And someone in the statistics office was telling me that they used to do sample. They get the campus sample from this particular region and they apply it across the board because you can walk there. And to do this, they say, okay, they're assuming that this village will have maybe 500 people. How many villages are down that way? And then they count the villages down. They name the village. They put on the rope. They never visited those places. And they say, how many children? They say, oh, maybe 5-year-olds are like this. They count that one. And then they just apply it across the... And that's how they got the population. They just underestimated the population. And suddenly when people start moving, they didn't know where they came from. Because they were in the caves and bushes and all that. They just suddenly pop up. And now suddenly we have so many people.